special guest today, and this is my daughter Amy. Now, Amy has not wanted to appear on my videos before. She's kind of quiet and hasn't been interested in doing this. But I'm so glad she's here today because, I don't know, I'm just excited. Maybe one day she'll really want to start quilting with me. So many of you know that I've been decluttering my quilt room and getting it all reorganized. Now, during this process, I ran across this quilt. And I'm going to show you this quilt. It's actually a UFO, but it's not one of my UFOs. It's Amy's UFO. Then when I got it all up on the board, I thought, maybe I can talk her into doing a video with me. And she did agree. This quilt, we're going to put this quilt up. We're going to put this quilt up on the wall, and we're going to show you a little bit of what needs to be done to finish this UFO. And Amy's going to finish this UFO. I'm so pleased about all of this. Okay, so we're going to get this put up on the wall, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we got the quilt up on my design wall, but it has a couple of things that we need to change about it. So we have this main piece. This is what she has done, and then we have these two strips over here, and these are actually rows that need to go onto the bottom, but it's going to make the quilt way too long. So I don't know what we were thinking, but we have got to do some repair work here. Now this pattern is called a disappearing 9 patch. And when I look at it, the pattern has disappeared completely. There's so much going on in this quilt. But anyway, so we have this to work with, and we have these 4 additional rows to work with. We have these few blocks to work with, and we have this fabric left to work with. We're going to show you what we think needs to be fixed with this. Okay, Amy, can you kind of tell us what you're thinking about this quilt?
So I know that this pattern may be a little overwhelming, but this is what I actually chose. I was honestly probably 7 or 8 when I actually chose this pattern, and I honestly chose it because the bright colors, and I also love actually dogs. That's why it has dogs on it. And so what we are going to do is we are going to fix all of this right here.
So it needs to be fixed because the blocks got turned around, right?
Yes, the blocks did. I'm not sure how that actually happened.
So you're going to have to do some ripping out to remove these 2 rows and turn those blocks around.
Yes.
Now, it seems rather long and narrow. What do you want to do about that? It's rather long and narrow, so what do you want to do about that?
So what we are going to do is we're going to take out some of those blocks over there, and we are going to try to put it on this side, like over here, to make it like more, to have more.
Have it wider?
Yeah, wider.
Okay, so we like big quilts, and we're tall people. So, what she's gonna do? We put rows 9 and 10 at the bottom, right?
Yes.
And then rows 11 and 12 you're gonna take apart.
Yes.
And add here, and then we're gonna use these blocks to try to fill in this space here to make it a little bit wider. And then for these, I'm hoping we'll have enough.
I think that we're going to use that for the border.
An inner border, an inner border, and an outer border?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we may have to do something else for the border.
The binding?
The binding, yes, the binding. Say that. So Amy has some ripping out to do, and she has some sewing to do, or maybe unsewing and sewing. And then we'll get this put together, and we'll show you how she's going to save this UFO and hopefully finish it.
What I've done so far is I ripped out rows 7 and 8. We rearranged them now to finally get our little green squares to match, which are right here. And I sewed it, then I pressed it, and then I re-sewed it, And now we finally got it hung up, and I got it to the length to where I like it. And over here, we haven't quite finished yet, but there is some blocks that we still need to finish. My mom will show you how to make the bigger block, and then she will show you how to get the little block. Now I will just have to get all the blocks together and then sew on the last column, and then we will be ready to put on the 2 borders.
Okay, so this is the smallest block unit that we will be working with, and I wanted to show you how to make these units. We'll be taking 4 of these and sewing them into this unit, and this is what I consider the block that the 9 patch uses. So let me show you how we do that. Okay, so Amy has selected the layout of the fabric. Now this green piece is always the same piece. These are the little squares that kind of, I think, are the anchoring point of this block. And all we're going to do, we're going to sew them together in rows. So I'll just sew these 3 together, these 3 together, these 3 together, and then I'll sew them together into one big 9 patch. Okay, so now that the 9 patch is sewn together, all we're going to do is cut it in half. And that is going to give us 4 of these units. Okay, since this is 14 inches square, we're just going to cut it in half, which will be right at 7 inches. Cut it right in half. And then I'm not going to move anything. And we're going to cut it in half the other way. I could have easily used my turning cutting mat. And see, there you go. And then you just have to turn them opposite. Then when you sew them together, they're going to look just like that. And these are the blocks that you'll just sew together. And that's how you make this 9 patch.
So I got the last column sewed on, and we were going to use this red for the border, but I did not have enough of it. So I decided to use the yellow border instead, and the green for the outer border because I had enough of the green to use on the outer border. So I'm going to use this blue and green for the binding because it goes well with the colors in the quilt. The last thing that I have to do is I have to clean up the back, and then I will just have to get it to the quilters and put the binding on.
Okay, Amy, so I'm glad that you got your quilt done. Are you pleased with it?
Yes.
I do want to thank Amy for joining me today. Amy's not really into quilting, but I do want to thank her for joining me and getting this UFO done. So it's almost done, and I do think that she'll get this finished. She was kind of excited about it, and I think that this will be a completed UFO. Do you think?
Yeah.
So in the comments below, I want you to tell me if you quilt with your daughter. I can say I've quilted with my daughter. I don't know that I can say I quilt a lot with my daughter. But anyway, tell me in the comments below if you quilt with your daughter. I thought it was pretty special. I think this will be a special quilt for Amy. And I've certainly had fun doing it with her. So until next time, have fun quilting.